right, let's go, everybody. All right, this is a quote from Walt Whitman. This is what you shall do. Love the earth and sun and the animals. Despise riches. Give alms to everyone that asks. Stand up for the stupid and the crazy. Devote your income and labor to others. Hate tyrants. Argue not concerning God. Love the earth and sun and the animals. Despise riches. Give alms to everyone that asks. Stand up for the stupid and the crazy. Devote your income and labor to others. Hate tyrants. Argue not concerning God. The theme for our course this semester and topics for American literature at Tennessee Tech with Mr. Smith is America is a wild place. And I'm not talking about the civil unrest of the last year and a half. I'm talking about I might be talking about that at some point, but I'm talking about our love for the land, our connectedness to our critters, our relationships with the indigenous that came here before us. And I've got this screenshot with the children's book, where the wild things are. America is a glorious place. People talk about when the first settlers got here, just how abundant the wildlife was and how hunting was not work because there was just so much meat to be had. I've heard that out west there was a river and it was so thick with salmon, you could just stick your hand in the river and have this beautiful fish to eat. And so this is going to be our theme for American literature this semester. And in various ways, we will discuss the American fascination and understanding with the land and with the wilderness. Nature is not, of course, always benign and beautiful. It can be frightening and terrifying also. We are attracted by wilderness, the otherness of it, the sense it is something inevitably outside of us. In wildness is the preservation of the world, which is a quote from Henry David Thoreau, a 19th century American, as was Walt Whitman, who I was talking about a second ago. And on a pilgrimage, on multiple pilgrimages, I've gone to the part of Massachusetts where Henry David Thoreau lived and did his work. Some of you maybe had to read in high school Walden Pond. And here is a great sign at Walden Pond. I went there once in the winter. You can see from all of the snow. And there is me in my frog hat. I have a nickname, a frog nickname. I've got a frog necklace on today. This is your Professor the Frog here one winter day at the site of Thoreau's cabin. Let me read this quote to you from Henry David Thoreau, which helps inaugurate this theme for our semester. It says, I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, to discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. Nor did I wish to practice resignation unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, to cut a broad swath and shave close, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. And if it proved to be mean, why then to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish its meanness to the world? Or if it were sublime, to know it by experience and to be able to give a true account of it in my next excursion. Still, we live meanly like ants. Our life is frittered away by detail. An honest man has hardly need to count more than his 10 fingers, or in extreme cases, he may add his 10 toes and lump the rest. Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. Words of wisdom from American author Henry Thoreau. And now from a Kentucky poet and essayist still living. He's in his 90s, but he's still with us right next door in the fine state, bluegrass state of Kentucky, the great Wendell Berry. I'll read you a poem from Wendell Berry called The Mad Farmer Liberation Front Manifesto by Wendell Berry. Poet Wendell Berry of Kentucky says, love the quick profit, the annual raise, vacation with pay. Want more of everything ready-made. Be afraid to know your neighbors and to die. And you will have a window in your head. Not even your future will be a mystery anymore. Your mind will be punched in a card and shut away in a little drawer. When they want you to buy something, they will call you. When they want you to die for profit, they will let you know. So friends, every day, do something that won't compute. Love the Lord, love the world, work for nothing. Take all that you have and be poor. Love someone who does not deserve it. Denounce the government and embrace the flag. Hope to live in that free republic for which it stands. Give your approval to all you cannot understand. Praise ignorance, for what man has not encountered, he has not destroyed. Ask the questions that have no answers. Invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest that you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest. Say that the leaves are harvested when they have rotted into the mold. Call that profit and prophesy such returns. Put your faith in the 2 inches of humus that will build under the trees every 1,000 years. Listen to the carrion. Put your ear close and hear the faint chattering of the songs that are to come. Expect the end of the world. Laugh. Laughter is immeasurable. Be joyful, though you have considered all the facts. Class, let me say that again. Be joyful, though you have considered all the facts. So long as women do not go cheap for power, please women more than men. Ask yourself, will this satisfy a woman satisfied to bear a child? Will this disturb the sleep of a woman near to giving birth? So go with your love into the fields. Lie easy in the shade. Rest your head in her lap. Swear allegiance to what is nighest your thoughts. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the motion of your mind, lose it. Leave it as a sign to mark the false trail, the way you did not go. Be like the fox who makes more tracks than necessary, some in the wrong direction. Practice resurrection. Practice resurrection. The words of Wendell Berry, born August 5th, 1934, and still with us, still kicking. American poet Wendell Berry, 1934. So actually he's be 80, about 80 something, not even quite 90. Novelist, poet, essayist, environmental activist, cultural critic, and Kentucky-based farmer. Wendell Berry. America is wild. We are here to explore this notion in words that were written by others, in songs that were sung by others, and the words that we will make ourselves, and the poetry that you will write for your midterm, whether you want to write it or not. And somehow this will encapsulate the defined purpose by the university and the department, that we will look at American literature as it reflects the cultures and values of America. And notice that's cultures and values plural, because America is not one culture, but multiple cultures fused together and united, yet divided at the same time. We will explore the diversity of this American literary tradition. We will look at the change in the continuity in American literature, and we will engage you all in some critical analysis of that, which will both basically be 2 long-form essays that you will write at the midterm and the final, to expound on how you've been impacted by these ideas of America. This is a literature course, so we're mostly looking at that format of literature that I talked about, which is an art form about the beautiful and the true and the good, and commenting on the world. But this course is necessarily interdisciplinary, and what that means, class, is that we're going to bump up against other disciplines, other academic disciplines, such as geography, such as sociology, such as history and political science. These will intersect with our work today. These values and these ideas of what America are contested. They're being fought over constantly in our public square. And then we are going to be looking at this as a big picture. It's going to be very messy. It's going to be maybe a little bit confusing because it's going to be the collected and shared stories of our national literature. And there's not any consensus, nothing like a consensus of what goes on that bookshelf. If this bookshelf that I've presented before you were the great works of America that everybody was supposed to know. We wouldn't agree. And that's just a random picture I found online. I don't know what books are even on there. But we went into my bookshelf in Henderson Hall. There would be a different set of American books on Professor Baker, or Professor Knoll, or Professor McQuail, or Professor Hoover, or Professor Dieter, or Professor Duckton. On these different professors, Professor Pelton, on these different professor bookshelves, you'll find different ideas of what those great books are. Very quickly, we're going to be looking at Chris McCandless. He died of starvation in Alaska, so we don't get to hear his words, but we get to hear literary journalist John Krakauer's interpretation of him. And we're going to compare his wilderness exposition with that of Cheryl Strayed, and she lived to tell the story. Women are smarter, women live longer, women should rule the world. I've been told anyway. The days when women start to rule the world might be coming soon. But Cheryl Strayed's a great story. And there, of course, you see the actual author as a young woman hiking in the Pacific Coast Trail, which is like the West Coast Appalachian Trail. But you see the great actor Reese Witherspoon portraying her in the film version of the book. The United States Poet Laureate is Joy Harjo. She's an indigenous woman, and she came at the beginning of this year and gave a virtual lecture. I'll try to dig that video up and make that aware of you. But we just have, I think, just one day on the syllabus coming up soon where we will look at her book, How We Became Human. And then we're going to be going into the back. So these are contemporary, late 1990s, early 21st century. And then we're going to be going, oh, I forgot about picture poems. We're just going to have one day. This book is not on the required books, but we're going to have one day where I teach you about picture poems through Kenneth Patchen, a late American author from Ohio. You're going to get your mind blown by these picture poems. And some students for their midterm will choose to make a picture poem instead of a long form poem. I've got, I think, a Friday lecture coming up where I'll introduce you to Patchen. I've got a Friday lecture where I introduce you to the blues. And again, you won't have a book to buy, but I'll give you a playlist of American blues artists. That's Sister Rosetta Tharpe there, great icon, bringing together gospel and the blues. And when you marry gospel and the blues, it makes rock and roll. You will be greatly, I think, hopefully appreciative and somewhat impressed that Mr. Smith knows more about rock and roll than just about anything else on the syllabus. And so we will be using popular music and also other genres, great American genres of popular music, such as country and hip hop and folk and bluegrass and electronica as well, will be available for your playlist. But I'll be teaching you guys about the blues, gospel, and rock and roll. Then we'll go into the anthology about the Beat Generation, which were a group of writers that were friends that collaborated in the 1950s, and they were rebels, and they came before the hippies. And they're very important to America, understanding America. But a lot of students never heard of these cats before you took this class. So you guys are getting to jump through a time machine and through a portal with Mr. Smith to discover Kerouac, Ginsberg, Diane DePrima, and many others. And then I've already, earlier in the talk today, talked to you guys about how much you're going to love the novel by Octavia Butler called Parable of the Sower. You guys are just going to it's going to blow your mind, a near future dystopia. And then we're going to hear from Sarah Pinsker about a world in which there's a pandemic and all the concerts get canceled. And she wrote that before we had a pandemic and all the concerts got canceled. And you're going to think, how does she know this? The book is so true. It's a little bit heartbreaking how true this book is. And I don't know, are you guys going to concerts or not? Some people are, some people aren't. Are you wearing a mask? Some people are wearing masks. Some people are not wearing their masks. So complete the survey, learning contract, read Into the Wild and Wild, visit my professor website, which I officially have updated finally, and it's available to you all now to browse for course policies, learn a little bit more about how this class works. I will stop the recording now. I want to thank you guys so much for getting on the call. I'll stay on the call for a couple minutes in case anyone wants to say hello or ask a question. Welcome to day one. We've made it, and it's time to go to your next class here in a minute, to day one of American Lit with Mr. Smith, fall 2021 at Tennessee Tech. We're glad you're here.
Thank you. Have a good day.